We often talk about the starving artist myth like it is just something external, this public perception that creatives will always be economically worse off than others. But that's only half of it. The more insidious part of the starving artist myth lives in your mind. It is the guilt that you feel when you think about raising your prices. It's the voice that tells you that wanting more is selfish and that you should keep your dreams realistic. And it's the jealousy and the bitterness that you feel when someone less skilled than you starts making more. You have built a prison around yourself without even realizing it. And if you want to build a business that gives you the life that you dream of, you have to escape it. So in this video, I want to talk about the starving artist mindset, how it keeps you poorer than you otherwise would be, and why allowing yourself to be ambitious and push for more isn't greedy, but actually better for your creative practice long term. So I work with creatives literally every single day. It is my job and I love it so much. And lately, I have been a little less active here because I have been trying to give the students in my paid community just like 100% of my energy. And in doing that work, I find myself having the same conversations over and over again. One of my students runs this paid mentorship program where she works one-on-one with a client, meeting with them once a week for a month to help them level up their art skills. She was charging around $300 a month for this, and when I heard that number, I thought to myself, man, for 4 hours of one-on-one coaching every single month, that's kind of a steal. And then she said the meetings weren't actually just an hour long, that she was so worried about providing value that the meetings ended up being 3 hours long on average, again, for one-on-one coaching plus asynchronous feedback. And as her coach, as the person that is trying to help this creative build a business that is not exhausting and that pays them what they're worth, I immediately suggested that she double, if not triple, her prices if she wanted to deliver that same experience to other clients. Like, it would just be impossible for her to take on more than like 2 people max per month, especially if she wanted to have, a life, a job outside of just that one product. If she wanted to be able to sell her own work, to create content, to have time to make art, it was not just like a fun idea or a suggestion to raise prices. She would have to do that. It was only when we did the math together where I showed her how, as it was, she was only making 20 bucks an hour, that she finally understood how much she was undervaluing herself for teaching skills that she has spent years developing. She just hadn't done the math, and it's not just her. A part of why my student felt so uncomfortable at the idea of raising her prices is because another artist teaching on the same platform who had literal decades of additional experience wasn't charging that much more than she was. And so I told her straight up, listen, if that guy was sitting where you are right now, I would tell him the same thing. I would also tell him to double, if not triple, his prices because he's undervaluing himself. And virtually every creative I have ever worked with undervalues themselves. And I think it all honestly stems from this financial illiteracy and a lack of understanding of the economics of running your own business. And because the starving artist mindset exerts all this downward pressure on price, because it has you kind of second guessing yourself and hesitant to charge what you're worth, you end up making choices that put you in an incredibly precarious financial situation. So, to that point, I want to run through some math with you. And if you want, I have linked a free resource below that will help you figure out what the numbers for this will look like for your own business. But let's just say that you wanted to make approximately the annual salary, the median annual salary here in the US. That's about $60-ish thousand a year. In most states, that will give you a very middle class lifestyle. You're not going to be able to buy any Lambos, all right? It's not greedy to want this. If you run your own business, your revenue goal, very importantly, is not $60,000. This is a mistake that I see people make all the time. It's extremely common, but it's very damaging because that money isn't free. Your business has operating expenses, and if you're lucky, maybe that'll only be about 20% of your revenue. Maybe, if you're lucky, right? That's already $20,000 down the drain. And because businesses have greater tax obligations, we have to set another 20% aside just for taxes. Where with a 9 to 5, you might get things like healthcare through your employer, and they'll pay parts of your Medicare and Social Security tax. The entire burden of those obligations falls onto you. To give you an example, this past year, my business brought in about 150-ish thousand dollars in revenue. The portion of that revenue that I paid myself, so my own salary, is about 40-ish thousand dollars, a little bit less than that probably. And every single time that I do run payroll, again, for myself, I pay about $1,000 in taxes. it's it's a lot, it's just a thing that you have to keep in mind when you run your own business. You have to pay for healthcare and all of the taxes that normally your employer would help you pay for. All of that burden falls onto you. So if you want to replace a $60,000 a year salary, your business has to bring in a lot more than 60K. You should be aiming for probably at least 150K. Honestly, maybe something more like 175 to 200K to be safe. And I really get why that student that I mentioned earlier was so wary of charging more. We have been taught that wanting to make more from our work makes us greedy and that it goes against our creative integrity. But what I need you to understand is that wanting to have a 6 or dare I say even 7-figure business from your creative practice is neither impossible nor morally corrupt. It does not make you a bad person, and it's not actually that rare either. Do you want to guess how many one-person businesses made between $1 and $2.5 million a year in revenue in 2015 versus 2023? I'll hold for a second so you can leave a guess in the comments, okay? Going once, going twice. Okay. In 2015, over 35,000 one-person businesses made between $1 and $2.5 million. 35,000. That could fill a stadium. Fast forward to 2023, the latest year that we have data for, and that's over 115,000 businesses now. One-person businesses. And that is not even counting the number of people that broke 6 figures. If we broaden up to that, it's truly millions of people made 6 figures in their one-person business. It is not that rare to do this. You can do this. You keep thinking that doing this, scaling to 6 figures, is like some unimaginably rare achievement, but it's becoming more and more common every single year. And as we discussed earlier, breaking 6 figures is becoming increasingly necessary to actually paying yourself a regular middle-class salary. If when you hear the words 6 and 7-figure business and your immediate reaction to that is discomfort, if you are conflating that ambition to the greed of a billionaire like Jeff Bezos, I have to remind you that those two things are literal orders of magnitude apart. Even if your business were to make $1,000 a day, every single day, it would take almost 3,000 years for you to make 1 billion. And even if you made $1 million a year, it would still take you a literal millennia, 1,000 years. And Jeff Bezos' net worth is currently $239 billion, by the way. Not just 1 billion, 239. He could solve homelessness like that if he wanted, and still have well over $200 billion left over in net worth. Isn't that crazy? Doesn't that just make you think? And I say this because I don't want you to curtail your own ambitions. It is okay to be ambitious. It's okay to dream big. If you want to make 6 or God forbid 7 figures from your business, yeah, let's do it. Let's fucking go, dude. Like let's do this. We can. I believe in you. The point of your business is to give you the life that you want. If you want to make the median annual salary here in the US, you have to be comfortable breaking 6 figures. In revenue. Again, revenue, right? Not take-home pay. Revenue. That's what matters here. And again, I will leave a link to a free Notion template I put together to help you kind of run the numbers of this for your own business. And that actually brings me to the next thing I wanted to talk about, which is how a crucial part of the starving artist mindset, this mental prison keeping you trapped, is the idea that struggling financially somehow makes you a better artist. And I fundamentally do not believe that. I do not believe that at all. I think it's actually very difficult to make your best creative work when you are struggling, when you are stressed out, and when all of your thought headspace is just constantly worried about money. And many of the world's most famous and impactful creatives understood this. They needed long, uninterrupted stretches of time to make their best work. And those periods of deep work were only possible when, wait for it, they were financially secure. That's right. And the art that came out of those periods of deep work, sometimes, even if in just a small way, changed the world. And Jane Austen is a perfect example of this. In Cal Newport's book Slow Productivity, he talks about how Jane Austen was finally able to write books like Pride and Prejudice when her family all but completely retreated from public life. During that time, knowing how important writing was to Jane, her family took on chores that would have normally fallen to her, and she was finally able to write without distraction. Those few years changed literature literally forever. There are very few authors whose work has been adapted into as much media as Jane Austen's. Maybe literally only Shakespeare. In modern life, the only way that creatives are able to experience the deep work periods that Jane Austen did is to be a little ambitious, to dismantle this prison that you have in your mind that is holding you back from making as much money as you know deep down you are capable of. And you have to learn the business and marketing skills that will help you get there. You literally cannot build a sustainable creative business, much less one able to fund a long Jane Austen style sabbatical, without understanding your numbers and knowing how to communicate what you do, who you are, who your work is for. This is how you reach more people. It's how you build the infrastructure that enables your work to have more impact. So, here are 3 concrete things that I want you to do in 2026 to build a more sustainable creative business. Number 1, run the numbers in your business and your income goals to figure out whether your current business model will support the life that you want to live. And that resource that I keep mentioning, that Notion template, will help you do this. I promise. It's actually like kind of tailor-made by me to go along with this video. And then number 2, you are going to identify which 20% of your work is actually generating like 80% plus of your revenue, because I know that's happening. I know for a fact that is happening. And then, knowing that information, you are going to devote at least 2 extra hours a week to specifically spend time on that work that is actually driving revenue. And then number 3, finally, every time that you want to reduce yourself and your own goals, every time that you think, oh, I could never do that, oh, I could never make that much, I want you to instead think about what it would take for you to achieve those things or to reach that revenue, what your life would have to look like, what skills you would have to build, what goals you would have to be able to achieve that number. I want you to practice being ambitious. I want you to practice allowing yourself to want things. And I say that because pushing against the starving artist mindset can be hard, because it isn't just ingrained in you, it is ingrained in all of us. And when you start allowing yourself to be ambitious and charging what you are actually worth, some people are going to roll their eyes. They're going to complain. They're going to say that you have changed. And yeah, you have changed for the better. You should not be setting your business on fire to keep someone else warm. And you should not be diminishing yourself to make someone else comfortable. Because every creative is locked in this same prison, there is a resistance, I think, that we feel when someone wants to escape it. We have these feelings of like bitterness and jealousy, this like uncomfortable feeling, right? When we see someone else that we perceive to be less talented succeed. And that's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable to acknowledge those feelings and to try and celebrate that person's success anyway, and to dig down deep and think about why we feel this way, why we are bitter, why we are jealous. Is it that they are pushing for their own goals and they are allowing themselves to be ambitious in a way that we are not? Is it that they are pursuing a goal that we are uncomfortable achieving, that we secretly want for ourselves, but we feel anxiety and insecurity and discomfort pushing for? The answer is usually yes, right? The answer is usually yes. Sometimes, when we see someone else trying to escape this prison, our instinct is to kind of drag them back, right? But that's because we don't want to be alone. But it is a prison, and we do have to escape it. Don't allow yourself to continue to feel these feelings, continue to hold yourself back like this. So I hope that pep talk was helpful. Let me know down in the comments what you think about all of this. And if you want to keep hanging out, watch this video right here, and I'll see you there. Bye.